Hi, Matt with etrailer, and today we're going to be talking about the Hollywood Racks Sport Rider SE Bike Rack on the 2018 Ford Explorer. Now this is going to be one of our more heavy-duty platform bike racks. It's going to have the potential to hold up to 2 bikes, up to 80 pounds per bike. So that's going to be able to accommodate your e-bikes. And what's also great about that is 80 pounds is a lot of weight, so compared to other e-bike carriers, it's going to outperform most of them. Since it is able to accommodate 80 pounds per bike, it's also going to be a little bit more difficult to maneuver around. But it's also going to have 3 tie-down points, 2 on the tires, and then 1 on our main frame. Since it is making frame content, we don't recommend using any carbon frame bikes. And it might be a little bit harder to use any alternative frames, so you might need a bike adapter bar for that. So up next is a prime example of why this bike rack is a little bit difficult to maneuver. If we want to access our hatch, we're going to have to use our tilt-away feature. And to do that, we need to pull these 2 pins here and this additional pinning clip at the bottom. To do that, I'm just going to pull on the side of this clip, pull a pin all the way through. You might have to push up against your bike rack to loosen that up. Now I'm going to pull these 2 other pins, and once they've been pulled, you will have access to your hatch. We're going to have plenty of clearance here with the bike we have on today. With it up, I can now grab any additional gear from the back here and then shut up my hatch, and then you can put your bike rack back up once your hatch is closed. That is easier, it's a lot simpler. All you have to do is push. It's not too hard to push, even though it's made for your heavier e-bikes. And once you've done that, just remember to push your pin back through and secure your clip. With your gear unloaded, you can now take off your bike. To start that off, we're going to come down here to our front strap, and I'm just going to click this button here and pull our strap through. This strap is going to be pretty long, and it's very durable, made of this very thick rubber, and it's going to have this extra coating here to kind of protect your tire. I'm going to come back here and repeat the same process. And once that's done, I'm going to come up to our center mass, and I'm actually going to scoot this one up first. You'll also notice it has a lock cord built in, so no one can take your bikes off. I'm going to push this one up and just move it out of the way for this one. You'll notice it stops here at the top, which is kind of annoying if you need to remove it all the way, and it kind of makes taking your bike off a little bit more difficult, but you'll see that in a second. Maintaining frame contact, I'm going to lift up and push. There we go. And right here, trying to maneuver it around that hook might be a little bit difficult, especially with your heavier e-bikes. But once you have it, you can take it off your rack and hit the trails. With our bike off, we can secure everything down. I'm going to start with our center mass. So I'm going to come down to the bottom here, and this is going to pull out, but it won't pull out unless you line up the pin with that hole exactly. So I'm going to slide this back down, and you're going to notice the same hole shape here, lining up that pin, so it slides in perfectly. You might have to adjust your mass some to fit it through. Once you do that, you won't be able to pull the pin through if you maneuver it right. And replacing these straps, you'll also notice that these cradles are adjustable. So if you just turn this knob here, you can pull this towards you or away. And this will be able to accommodate up to 60-inch wheelbases. And you'll just do the same thing for the back side too. Just try to remove it around that center mass and plug it in. As for how much space it's going to add to your vehicle, it's going to add just about 29.5 inches. So that's going to be something to be mindful if you're in any really tight garages or parking spaces. And for ground clearance from the furthest point out, we're going to have 26 inches, which is pretty high. I'd definitely always be mindful still if you're going up any really steep hills. And from our shank, we're going to have just about 18 and a half. And so I'd apply the same thing to that as well. If you want to save a little bit more space though, you can fold it up. And to do that is a little bit easier than tilting it away. So we're just going to pull one of these same pins here and push up just a little bit until it kind of stops. And then you'll pull your second pin and push it up the rest of the way. You're here click into place, and now that's going to save you a lot more space. To see exactly how much that is, it's going to be from our bumper all the way back to this bolt that's popping out, which is going to be about 16 inches. As for how it's going to interact with the back of your vehicle, it's really not going to obstruct anything, so you're going to have full visibility from your license plates, your backup camera, tail lights, and back window. And you might see a little bit of this here in your backup camera, but you should still be able to back up. Now, something I will note, if you don't push these cradles in, they're going to stick out pretty far, a little bit past your vehicle, kind of lined up with your mirrors. I'd recommend, once you're done using it, just to pull it back in here so it doesn't get in the way of anything. As for how it's going to plug into our vehicle, we're going to have this 2-inch shank that plugs into our 2-inch hitch receiver. You'll also notice we have this welded collar at the top that kind of stops us from pushing it in all the way, just to let us know when our pin over here is ready to be lined up with this hole. And for extra security, we're going to have this lock core here with 2 included keys, and it's all going to be secured with this anti-rattle device. It's just going to be a handle that tightens up, so that's nice that it's tool free. I'd also be mindful though, I wouldn't try to leave this hanging down, because if it's just hanging down here, it might hit the ground if you're in a very low clearance area, like going up a hill. So I'd recommend just keeping it up and away from laying down. Overall, I think this is going to be a solid bike rack, especially with its ability to withstand those really heavy e-bikes up to 80 pounds. Now, my biggest gripe about it though is how hard it is to maneuver just with all its pinch points, but that's a trade-off for that additional security and that sturdiness of the bike rack. But if you liked everything you saw today, this was the Hollywood Racks Sports Rider SE Bike Rack on the 2018 Ford Explorer.